Tēnā koutou e are taringa mai nei ki tēnei o ngā hōtaka o Konia I kōrero. Ko te aorangi Dylan tēnei e me I kau atu ki koutou katoa. Ana ki koutou e mātakitaki mai nei ki tēnei pāpā o Mataora. Kei te kite kē koutou kōwai e no o ki taku taa. Ko taku wanaunga a Ngāwai Hernandez Walden. Ana I nai nei ka tuku te rākau ki a koe e kazi mau e waka mo'io atu ki te katoa. Ko wai koe, no wai koe, aua āhuatanga katoa.
Oh, hoi anō tēnā nā koe e te whananga te aorangi. O tira ki te whānau whānui e whakarongo mai nei I tēnei wā, e mātakitaki mai nei I tēnei wā, he mihi kau atu tēnei ki a koutou katoa e te haukainga. Tēnei au he uri o koutou. No ngā hau e whā o tā mātou maunga tīto he o taranaki a hau. Tērā pēr e mohi ana e tehi au koutou. Ko tōku pāpā, ko Morris Richard, a.k.a. Buster, a.k.a. Pa'i Walden, tōku pāpā, ko tōku māma, ko Puna'au Ripeka o Auntie Ree, Reihana, tōku māma I whānau mai au I roto I te pī ke tāone nui o Matariki. I reira au e whānau mai ana ki te rori o waihi, I reira au e kaukau ana I roto I ngā wai o Waingangoro me nu a wai, tēnei au he uri. Ai, no te kāinga, o tira kia koutou katoa e taku whānau whānui e mihi kau ana tēnei kia koutou katoa. Tērā pēr kai te whakaro ana koutou, kai te he tana ingoa whānau, ko tōku hoarangatira no te puku o Amerika ki te tonga no Panama ia, ara ko tōna ingoa ko Hernandez. E ai ki etihi ko te ingoa o a māua nei tamariki, a māua nei tamahine, a punahau rawa ko Elisa. Ko te tikanga o Panama, me mau tonu ko I te ingoa o tō pāpā me tō māma. Nā I runga tēnā ko te ingoa whānau o oku tamariki ko Hernandez Walden. I te wā e māre ana māua, I whakaro ana au ko rereke haere taku ingoa me nā ka tuhi au Walden hyphen Hernandez. Ana ko tāku me ōrite ai taku ingoa ki tērā o aku tamariki, ana ko tae tēnei wā ko taku ingoa ko Ngāwai Hernandez Walden. Me mihi tēnei kia koutou katoa.
Oh, tēnā koe, Kaz. Oh, pai rawa te rongo I taua kōrero mō tō ingoa. Inana I rā I ui au ki tētai o ngā wanaunga, te tamahine o Uncle Maimau, Ia Patu, ana I kōrero ta I tā māua mō tōna ingoa hoki, nā reira, tēnā koe mō taua koha. Kua tākoa mai ki mātou, e wakarongo mai ana, e mātakitaki mai ana rānei kia tawa I tēnei rā. Nā reira, e te whānau. Well, now you know. If you didn't know exactly who she was before, you're right. You're pretty much there now. She gave you a very good introduction, and right down to that sharing of the ingoa. I really love that. Absolutely love that. So thank you for joining us today, cousin. It's awesome to see you, even though we are on the Zoom and we've got quite used to seeing each other each month in person, but this will have to do. This will have to do for now.
Yeah. You know, for many of us, it's hard, he tangata mātou, we're a kanohi a tinana people. So, going back to being in the virtual space, to have kōrero, to have conversations, to have wānanga, to do mahi is, it's hard for us as Māori, but it is what it is, and it's the reality of where we're at today. So, kia u ki te kaupapa whānau, kia haumaru ai koutou, noho ki te kāinga, tiaki a mātou katoa, that is the main thing, and that's the main focus for us right now.
Oh, tēnā koe, Kaz. So people out there who are watching might be wondering, well, where is Ngāwai? What's she doing these days? So do you just want to give us a lowdown on where you are and what's your role out there in the big wide world at this point in time?
Oh, okay. Well, kia whānau. So I am in the beautiful metropolis of Tamaki Makaurau. I am my whānau and I, we live in Mangere Bridge, so we actually face out to Ngā Pāmu o tēnei wahi. So I've actually got a really green backdrop when you go outside my wall and my door here. Feels a bit like home being back in Taranaki. So we have cows and sheep just straight across the road, yet we live in the middle of Auckland. So it's surprising to say, you know, those do exist here in the Big Smoke. But Tamaki has been home for me now for the last 4 years, since being back in Aotearoa. Been back in Aotearoa for 6 years now, and I am a Māori Enterprise Partner with Te Puni Kōkiri Ministry of Māori Development, and my role is really to provide support, broker networks and relationships, and provide advice around whānau Māori who are either starting out in business or already in business and needing to grow and develop. So this is just one part of, we're kind of one of the few service providers within Te Puni Kōkiri in terms of what we do for our whānau Māori. So I'm one of 12 across Aotearoa in terms of Māori Enterprise, and probably in the last year, or actually pre-COVID, our mahi has kind of morphed even more, because we had a lot of our whānau out there who potentially have lost their jobs because of COVID's lockdown last year, and because of that, took on the risk and were brave enough to step out on their own and be self-employed or work for themselves, and or open businesses. So a lot of the mahi that I've been doing, certainly this lockdown, has been around supporting our whānau Māori to ensure they're accessing all the supports that are available, both financial and just general advice, for those who are self-employed or sole traders, right through to our Māori businesses who are in limited liabilities, or even collectives or corporations, just to ensure they are tapping into all the resources that are available across Aotearoa, that the government has made available, but also that is actually available all the time outside of COVID. So it's just, that's probably the key component of my mahi recently. Last year was a lot around the initial triaging of people just not knowing what to do. And even some of our whānau being put in the position of, oh, I thought I was actually employed by this company, but actually I've been contracting, or in effect been self-employed. So just working and bridging them through what it means and how there are supports out there, no matter what part of the kind of enterprise or small business platform they're in. There are supports out there, and especially, I guess, supports that are Māori focused in terms of how they are managed and how they're supported. As we know, our main focus for Māori Enterprise across the motu is about by Māori, with Māori, for Māori. So everything that we try and do has that lens across it all. So, and we know our whānau are going to reach out to their own whanaunga or tangata Māori to get advice, to get support because of that comfort. So that's what we hear, and that's what we're all about. And again, just so whānau know we are here, just to even have those conversations. A lot of my kōrero was actually done over a cup of tea, when we are in that space of sitting down and, you know, we as Māori, we're really creative, we're really innovative, and we have no hesitations in getting in and doing mahi. However, what we're not always good at is making sure the back of office, the back of house things are in place, like bank account details, insurances. How do I manage my business accounts? How do I manage my own accounts as a self-employed person or a contractor? So a lot of the times I sit down with a lot of our whānau and just have those conversations, just to really get a sense on where they're at. We have some wonderful ideas, and usually a lot of means and ways of knowing how they can activate those ideas into a business. But what we want to ensure, or my role is to ensure that that they're there long term, so there's a sustainability in it. And as we know, we're more likely, as we grow in business, to employ our own, whether it's our own whānau or just tangata Māori within the business. So again, the for Māori, with Māori, by Māori is just a constant part of our general ecosystem and how we think and operate. Though for some whānau, working with their own whānau isn't always a conversation
Yeah.
that they like to have. And again, you know, at times I've sat down with whānau just to iron out issues, because what I think we need to do more as a whānau is work to our strengths. We know we have some of our whānau who are actually really good at number crunching and are really good at being the person that dots the I's and crosses the T's. And then we have those whānau that are really good at just getting in there and doing the mahi. So it's working to our strengths and working collectively in our strengths. And it may be just a husband and wife scenario where they're in business together. So outside of my mahi, you know, my husband and I, we have a small business as well. I'm not a builder, my husband is, but I'm actually good at doing the books. So working collectively as a whānau unit for the well-being of our whānau, as well as the value chain or the ricochet effect that has on wider whānau is the key. So for us, it's about how we can support whānau to thrive. We know at the moment a lot of our whānau are in survival mode. And kei te pai tērā, but there's also looking into the future and thinking positively about how do we thrive now. Okay, we have a barrier. There's always some barriers or these issues, but it's about shifting and changing that to provide a long-term sustainability or long-term outcome to support them. So that's kind of me in a nutshell in terms of what I do and how I do it. It's really diverse because a lot of my clients that I work with or kaitono that I work with are, again, self-employed. I'm currently working with a group of 15 wahine Māori who are going into exporting that are here in Tāmaki. So it varies in terms of the types of businesses and the industries. You know, obviously in Tāmaki and across the Motu, you know, construction's prime, but there's also a lot of, in terms of our creatives, you know, our jewelry manufacturers like Owaki Taringa. You know, we've got a lot of really, really talented Māori out there in the digital space, in the IT space, really across all the industries. And it just comes down to they're really skilled in their field, but they might not be skilled in what it means to be in business in that field. So that's where we ensure that we can connect them to the right people. And a lot of the time it's working with our cross-agency partners. So I have a really great relationship with, you know, in effect, the Māori teams across all the cross-agency partners, IRD, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, MWDI, Callaghan Innovations, just to name a few. You know, there are Māori advisors within a lot of these organisations that work with our whānau Māori to help them develop with their businesses, to help them grow, or even better for those that are in the space to export. So despite being in a COVID space, exports are still happening. So goods and services going outside of the country to places still like China, India, the US, Australia. You know, our relationships with the whenua moe are really, really strong, especially in this space. So there's actually a lot of really awesome positive things that are still happening despite the situations we're in at the moment. And again, hopefully it's just only for a short, brief period of time, and then we can move positively forward. And that's my overall tak oku nei wawata. You know, one of the key things that I want to ensure is that if I can provide the support to one person, that one person might then support another person and another person. So the thriving whānau and the context is just really, really, it's easy, and it's also really, really key, because making a difference in one person or one whānau member's life just has that wider effect for wider whānau.
I love that. I love the thriving whānau caption. That obviously it's not just a caption; it's a reality. And when you talk about it in that sense, you're essentially training one person just to be the trainer for the rest of the whānau. And knowing that they have the backstop there of having you also and your other 12 colleagues throughout the motu who can then jump in if needed. It's actually a perfect whānau ora concept.
Yeah.
That's whānau ora in action, really, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Absolutely. And I guess, what is kind of unique and different for us as Māori now is that culturally and as people in terms of our reo and tikanga, we're in a different environment to what was 5, 10, 20 years ago. We're in a space where Māori as people, again, we've always known this. We're really creative. We're really innovative. We're risk takers. I roto ki a mātou nei whakapapa, no mai rano. When we look back at the past, it's what we've done for generations and generations. It's just now it's in a different context, in a modern context, contemporary context. And for me, it's about ensuring that that continues for the next generations to come. Koina te mea nui. Kowai hei a popo. We want to ensure that our whenua, the environment, what we do is maintained and supported for our mokopuna yet to come.
Yeah, and that's another key thing too. It is about sustainability. So there's pre-COVID and post-COVID. Right now, we're in alert level 4. What I'm hearing here is that nothing stops for you, even though we're in alert level 4. The mahi continues as it does for many of us. However, it sounds like to me that these whānau who own their own businesses are still they still have an opportunity to continue with these businesses throughout this time. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I guess the main thing is for those that were in business pre-COVID, everyone should typically have a plan or a strategy or an action plan in place around their business, whether they're self-employed or have been in business for quite some time. And it's about refreshing and reviewing those plans to make it fit for the environment. And COVID was the new environment. Everything went from being tinana, physically going into a store, to now it's predominantly all online now. And like you and I, we're terrible at shopping online now, and we do it all the time, that we have to try and reframe ourselves from doing that. Where nor, what it does mean though, is for a lot of our businesses, they've been able to maintain and still be existing. Again, the alert level 4 environment makes it difficult for some things. However, once we drop down, what the conversations I'm having with our Pākehā Māori now is around, right, let's get ready for when we hit level 3. Are you ready for when you hit level 3? And what does that mean for your business? And again, the different industries are affected differently. So we know our food and beverage industries, are heavily affected. For a lot of them, they really can't do anything till possibly level 2 and some level 1. So it's just trying to plan, what does that need to look like? So if at level 3 we can operate, is it online? Is it delivery? Is it contactless pickups and deliveries? Is that possible? Is that viable? What does that look like? And, last year was really, really hard working with some of our whānau Māori who had to make the hard decision of, actually, we're better off shutting shop. And, that was really, really hard to have with those whānau. But again, it was their decision to make. They said, the well-being of our whānau is, we're better off closing than being open. Or trying to reopen. We're better off starting fresh again and looking at a different type of business, or looking at it in a different way. So I guess what's different is Tamaki Makaurau's gone through a number of level 3 lockdowns. So here in Tamaki, I think we're more adverse to being in this space. Across the rest of the motuno, like home in Taranaki, I think since level 4, level 3s last year, I think you've only gone back up to a level 2 once or twice. And at level 2, things are still kind of normal, as normal as it can be, except for, I guess, like your conference venue or some of your larger food and beverage outlets, which can't open. It's not worth opening. So I think for a lot of our businesses, again, everyone's well adversed, and here in Tamaki we're well adversed. The hard part, though, I feel now that we've gone back into another level 4 alert level, is that for some of those businesses, especially our food and beverages businesses, it's going to be a very hard conversation this time round. Last year, at least we had a couple of days warning to prepare. And I have to think about some of our communities here in Tamaki were really quick to action. At 6 o'clock last Tuesday night when the announcement came out, those restaurants I know in and around Mangere Bridge where I live, those restaurants in that area just did a big cook-off.
Yeah.
Cooked up all their perishable kai and literally just went to the churches, went to the people and said, these are all packaged up, give them to whānau that need them, because for them, it was either they were going to have to throw it in the bin, they couldn't sell it, so let's give it to whānau that are going to need it the most. So, that, I guess, whānau well-being across Aotearoa has really morphed. It's not just a te ao Māori whakaaro, it's very much everyone in Aotearoa has pivoted and changed to, in effect, our te ao Māori way of thinking in terms of being in an adverse environment. We've all banded together, we're a team of 5 million, and, we talk about that. Well, for whānau, we know it's always about not just me, it's about the wider whānau. So I think, what's really, really important now is that for those whānau out there that are either self-employed or are in business and you're not sure, or you just want to have a kōrero, why am I? That's what we're here for. Please reach out to us, have conversation with us. If we can provide you support in terms of how you adjust your business to what level 3, what level 2 needs to look like, or if it's about adjusting it long term, then reach out to us, because that's what we're here for, is to provide that support. We want our whānau to be well, we want them to be sustainable, and we want them to feel that there's a rainbow at the end there. Might not necessarily have a pot of gold, but there is, there's an ongoing flow of colour and vibrancy that, it's not all doom and gloom. And, that's the main thing. And I guess my key message to whānau, the Māori Enterprise team, if you're in the economics business space, please reach out to us and come and get that support.
So, because if people do want to get in touch with you and they do want to ring, or one of your colleagues, how do they do that? What's the number?
Okay, the first point of contact, Māori Enterprise at tpk.govt.nz. So Māori Enterprise at tpk.govt.nz is the main portal of email that will go through to our team. If you go onto our Te Puni Kōkiri website and look for the Māori Enterprise link, and it'll have the list of all of our advisors in and around your region that have numbers there for you to reach out to. Feel free, if you need to, just call any of them, and again, they'll pass on to the right person you need to go to. Or if you're not too sure exactly what region you fit under, then just find the person that's closest to you and they'll be able to refer you appropriately. There are some, in terms of business support, so as I said earlier, we work with all of our cross-agency partners, but there's also some uniquenesses by region as well in terms of local council supports that have economic development teams and what they offer and support as well as our iwi. Our iwi entities, each of them have varying supports available as well. So your regional staff will really have that intel and support as well. I just want to mention that I'm also providing support for our Te Taihoaru Taranaki whānau, just in the absence of one of our kaimahi who i ngaro wai tana hoa rangatira I tērā wiki. So whānau, please reach out to me if need be. Contact Te Aorangi, she can get you onto me, or again, via email or the website, just to, again, if you need that person to have a kōrero with, what is key, the conversations we have are confidential, they're private. Whatever you say to us is just about us trying to support you as whānau. So we keep everything confidential and private until you tell us it's okay for us to share your kōrero with someone else that might be able to support you. So again, we can refer you as best as we can to all the opportunities and resources that are available. Some of the messaging I know for our whānau is quite overwhelming. So again, that's what we're here for. Come to us so we can talk you through what are the steps you need to do and how we can support you.
There you go, whānau. So if you do want to get in touch with Ngāwai or any of her colleagues and you missed all of that, I will put it up in this post. So we've got some written details. Now, Kaz, just moving away from that for a little bit, what's life like in your bubble right now?
A little bit hectic. So both of my tamariki are little. So e toru ngā tau o Punahau and ka tahi anō kia rua Elissa. So I've got 2 toddlers at home. We also have my horangatira has 3 older children. So we've had them in our bubble as well. And then my tāne at home, who's also someone who's an outdoors man. So being at home has been a little bit hard again for him. Fortunately, again, we're in the position as a whānau that we have got space. So we have got, got green grass that the kids can play out on and a bit of space to run around and ride bikes. But again, some of our whānau here in Tāmaki don't have that. They're in apartments or they're in confined spaces. So very, very fortunate to be where we are in terms of where we live. But yes, it has been hectic in terms of kind of thankful that I've had no children come running in to interrupt me, but thank you, husband. So yeah, it's been hectic like everybody, we're all juggling. Being in the space again is difficult for a lot of us. And I know certainly for me, when Tāmaki, whenever that might be, gets to a level 3, my husband will be back at work and then I'll be home working with tamariki. So, the biggest, aroha that I have with a lot of our whānau that I've spoken with is just trying to manage, trying to thrive, or in effect survive during these tough times, because we all love our whānau, but sometimes in close confinement for periods of time can be rather traumatic. But, we have to stay positive. It's only for a short window of time. And I think, really the positive outcome of it as whānau, I certainly know from last year, was just that quality time with whānau that sometimes we forget about and don't always appreciate. Yes. So that's kind of the great component of it, is trying to stay positive about it, that, I have this quality time with my tamariki and with my husband, because life can just be so crazy when even at level 1, when that normality of what life is like is just busy and hectic. Now we're just all trying to do it from home. But koia, life's busy for everybody.
So you have spoken about the fact that Tāmaki Makaurau has become quite adverse to going into a level 3 lockdown, at least. And Iri and Jackie, who joined us on Monday morning, they spoke about the same thing, that, for them working for Waipareira Trust, this has been their environment for the whole year plus, understanding that this could happen again. So there's, as we said before, there's post-COVID, pre-COVID for the business owners, there's COVID time, and then there's post-COVID. What about for you all as kaimai at TPK, or keeping in line with your particular role? There's planning going on, right? You're as prepared as you can be?
Correct. And I must say, prior to me working for Te Puni Kōkiri, I've always worked for non-Māori private entity organisations. Coming into Te Puni Kōkiri for me was about coming into that whānau environment and honestly, I get that from the top down. So right from our senior leadership manager right through. So, we are required as Te Puni Kōkiri staff, but as whānau, we check in on each other twice a day. Kei te pai koe, kei te pai koutou, how are you in your bubble? We've been fortunate that we've been resourced to be able to operate at home. So last year we were provided resources to be able to operate so we could support our whānau out there, which was really, really fantastic. And we've kind of stayed in COVID mode ever since, despite dropping down levels, we've all kind of maintained new processes and practices of how we operate. So that's kind of been really fundamental in terms of what it has meant for me to be able to continue operating. Again, fortunate to have tools and resources to be able to do that. But again, it's about ensuring that we can provide that outreach and support for our whānau Māori at any time of day or night. So again, some of my calls aren't necessarily from 9 to 5, again, because we're all adapting. We know a lot of our business operators are in the same boat as me. You've got tamariki at home, trying to do schoolwork with them, still trying to do your business, trying to do, as much mahi as you can. So sometimes that's happening at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And some of those emails and phone calls that I'm doing are at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, or sometimes at 6 a.m. in the morning when I'm up first thing in the morning. So that's just how it is. And, we're all, I think, doing what we can to make it work and manage for our individual well-being, most importantly, for our whānau well-being first, and then how is it we can support others. So that's kind of been really, really key. So it's just really, really great having those touch points in terms of check-in. Like right now, I'm supposed to be part of a mindfulness meditation little wānanga that we're supposed to be doing. So again, we've been taught a whole lot of new skills that maybe we might not have been taught in terms of, or just been thinking about that you wouldn't normally think about had it not been for COVID. So yeah, if anything, there's been constant learning mātauranga throughout this whole journey. But what we do know as Māori, going back over a year ago, we stood up as Māori in terms of our tikanga and how we are and how we operate as people, and that has then transitioned into wider communities seeing that and understanding that. And I think for the better in terms of where we are as Aotearoa now, I think it's just going to bring positive opportunities moving forward for our people.
Oh, absolutely. I think what I'm getting from you right now is the kōrero is around manaakitanga. Are we finally understanding as a nation the concept of manaakitanga, and we're not just practicing it if we go to the marae and we hear this concept of, oh, it's manaki, but actually you're right when you talk about the food industry in Mangere Bridge, but also down here in Hawera, as soon as the call came out that, okay, we're going into an alert level 4, the pizza shop, Subway, all sorts of people, local schools, lunch and schools providers, they all just got down to it straight away. Okay, we're giving this kai out. We're not going to waste it. We're not going to throw it away. We're going to get this out to the people who need it. And I don't know if I ever would have actually anticipated seeing this happen in the wider business world. And so it's been very heartening.
Yeah. And I guess what COVID has taught us here in Aotearoa specifically is just what it means to be one whānau. And I think about it. Someone tried to use the iteration around, when we held the Rugby World Cup, we were all one whānau. And I went, really? I don't think so. I mean, yes, I do, but no, I don't think so. Being one whānau in terms of Aotearoa, in terms of, I guess, not wanting to go down this, but if we think about how it means to be a treaty partner, COVID is the environment that has showed us how we can do that. And more importantly, how Māori have led the way in that conversation.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of been really, really key. And I think for some of when I think about some of our paake that I've spoken to, they've found that really heartening as well, as how much of a change has happened and how much it means for Māori to be put on a pedestal of well-being and vibrancy, and bringing really future-focused opportunities. We've been at that forefront, so I think that's just been what's been fantastic out of anything, despite the mamai and the ngaroatu that we've experienced with COVID. It brings new learnings for everybody.
Oh, it certainly does. And it has been great being a part of the innovation. Thank you for outing me as a contributor to the Māori economy throughout. And it didn't stop. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. But in saying that, look at these and look at this. I'm doing my bit. I had given myself a self-imposed ban this time round, and it lasted not even 24 hours. But it has really been awesome to see our Pākehā Māori just step up and look at this as another opportunity. Actually, many of our Pākehā Māori, they operate similar to this anyway, that they're trying to do it from their homes. They're trying to do it with the least effect on their whānau, time away and all of that sort of stuff. So you're right, we have seen some people thrive. And I am happy to see that I read my emails this morning, and some of the things I ordered just before lockdown are now getting delivered. So we're back in business, e te whānau. I'll be hitting your websites anytime soon. But so for those who are listening and watching, I guess we can really, or not thank, but be aware that the position and the role that you hold really has had a huge contribution to many of our Māori business owners around the motu, and just to be able to give them that encouragement, and then for them to be able to see a sustainable future, especially in uncertain times. How do the whānau react to that?
Oh, to be honest, I think everybody that I've had conversation with, that I've met, I've emailed with, are just appreciative of having an avenue to kōrero with, and then having an avenue where we've given them information that is actually going to be meaningful and helpful to them themselves and their wider whānau. I have just recently I supported a young Māori wahine, and very young, 19, not quite 20. She'd gone into her own business at a really, really young age. And she said, I'd been given some support and some advice, which was really, really great. And just by chance, she got referred to Te Puni Kōkiri, who she was told, hey, Te Puni Kōkiri have got business advisors that can support you. You should go and talk to them. And she said, our short 10-minute conversation meant the world to her in terms of what access supports were also out there for Māori that she had no idea about. So for her, it was meaningful because she was actually able to start a business, open a business, and actually get up and trading. And, I spoke with her on Friday, just last week, just to say, how are you? Do you need any support in Awhi with anything? And she just said to me, no, the information you shared with me, was really, really helpful. So I was kind of prepared but unprepared. So I didn't have everything ready, but I had most things ready, knowing that if this came up, this is what I need to do. So, the impact, again, if you can make an impact with one, what that means, because it just has, again, that trigger effect of supporting others. And she said herself, I was actually able to help my cousin with the same information, who's also not long started a business. And that's always, for me, really rewarding to hear. Those are the really key rewards It's not knowing that they've made millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just that they are happy in the space that they're in, that their well-being, which is what I come down to, that their well-being is there and they're happy. And again, they're thriving in their own way. So that has kind of been, for me, the rewarding part of everything that I do is just that whānau are thriving and surviving not just out of necessity, but actually surviving really, really well, because then they're able to share that amongst their whānau. I wanted to highlight, there's one business operator that I first met when I returned to Auckland 4 years ago. And again, he started off as a self-employed person, and after COVID last year, which was, seemed interesting timing, he'd been working on his business for 3 years. He was actually able to employ his cousin to start doing some IT digital work for him. And he recently also employed another one of his whānau members who, just even though on a part-time basis, was able to do some sales and marketing calls for his business. So he says, I've gone from me to now I've got 1.5 other members of my whānau working on my business. So they're not only helping me, but I'm helping them and their whānau. So what whānau need to realise, there's not a quick win resolution. It's about looking at the long-term goal and long-term vision that they have for their whānau, and everything is achievable. Just again, through perseverance, you can get there, and just working smartly. Don't always, people always don't work hard on your business, work smart on your business. And those are the kind of the tools that we try to provide our whānau Māori.
Oh, well, ngā mihi nui ki koe e te whanaunga mō kōrero. Hei koha ki te ao me ki, and I like that. Work smarter, not harder. E te iwi, smarter, not harder. And so for those of you at this point in time, you may be in the throes of looking at business as a way forward for your whānau to thrive, actually, to use the exact words. You want your whānau to thrive. Here's an option. You can get in touch with the advisors at Te Puni Kōkiri, and I'll put up the numbers and the website and the email that Ngāwai has provided for us all. And this was great. Thank you for joining me today. Joining all of us today. Tēnā pai rawa atu. Have you got any... Ka pai. Have you got any parting words that you would like to share with everybody of whakatauki pia? I don't know, something else?
Whakatauki. He whakatauki Pākehā tēnei. Just a phrase that my father always said to me growing up, and that was, if you want lifestyles, you must take life's chances. And, for our whānau, it's about, taking those risks, taking those opportunities, taking your ideas and developing them. Don't be afraid to develop them. And, for me, that's helped me, that whakatauki has helped me through my journey, through school, through going into careers. And so it's something that still sits with me today, and I continue to say it to myself every now and again. And, we're not talking about lifestyles or living the lavish lifestyles, but just knowing that you are in a position to be well. And that is the key for our whānau. Koina te mea nui ki ahau.
There you go, te whānau. If you want lifestyles, you must make life's choices. Was it?
Take life's chances.
Oh, sorry, you must take life's chances. Okay, let me do that again. If you want lifestyles, you must take life's chances. Oh gosh, I can almost hear him saying it, actually, and the stance and the tip of the hat even. Nā reira, e mihi ana ki koe e te whanaunga. Me te whakaaro hoki anō ki tō pāpā i tēnei wā, kei te tuku te aroha ki tō whānau, whānui i te wā i mate tō pāpā i ngaro tētahi tipua I ngaro tētahi tipua ma tātou katoa. Nā reira, ko tēnei a te korimako o Taranaki, ko tēnei a Konia I kōrero, e me I kau atu ki koe o tira ki tō whānui. Nā reira, koutou rā e wakarongo mai ana, koutou rā e mātakitaki mai ana, ko te tūmanako, kei te noho haumaru ai koutou, ki o koutou kāinga, kia pai te noho mo o ao. Tēnā tātou.
Tēnā tātou te whānau.